Greetings and salutations, and welcome to episode 148 of Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner, and that's Trev. And I suppose if you're watching here on YouTube, maybe it would do us just fine to go ahead and show those display names. If you're watching us on your favorite audio platform, because you can find us there as well, make sure you leave us a rating and review, as it helps other people find our content. We got a great show for you here on episode 148. We'll have those bold predictions for you in the cool down. We'll thank Dallas for probably getting us one step closer to a top 10 pick in the game. And here in the warm-up, it's keep or let go on this Commanders roster. So you can make your picks for which one you're going to do, and you can make your picks on Bet Online. Head over there, use the code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, to get yourself a welcome bonus of 50% on your first deposit. And then you can use it to bet on NFL games, NHL, there's basketball, there's UFC, there's international soccer. I mean, they just got it all there, Trev. They have every bit for people to bet on, and they can use the code BELIEVE, B-L-E-A-V, to get themselves a 50% welcome bonus there. So just head over to Bet Online or pull it up on your phone, as they have a mobile app, Bet Online, where the game starts. Gentlemen, I didn't want to call this keep or cut because some of these players aren't even on the roster next year. Some of these people, in fact, quite a few of the members of this Washington roster are actually free agents. So it's whether or not they want to actually re-sign here in Washington with new regime. We might be looking at a quite different 53. So went out and asked people their opinion, but of course it's our show. So let's give Big E a hell yeah. And get
hell yeah,
Big E.
here.
What up,
on
Big E?
the keep or let go. Trev, we'll start with you. One player at a time. Just because I can drag this thing out for a good 15 minutes here for a quality segment, but one player at a time. Trev, who do you think Washington should keep or let go?
Well, I'm going to start with let go, and it's going to be Kendall Fuller. Let him go.
Wow.
It's time to let him go.
He's hated Kendall Fuller for 3 years.
It's his second stint. I don't know if you guys are watching the game on Sunday.
Best corner that we have.
That was the weakest juke I've ever seen anybody put on in the open field, and Kendall Fuller got his ankles taken, bro. I mean, I don't care if it's miscommunication. What are you doing running to him like this to see he's going that way
he running,
to
Trev?
the end zone?
Trev, how was he running?
He's running that way.
Yeah.
Beat him to the spot. No, you get juked out of your socks with a little and then a touchdown. Get him. He's been here once before. He did great. Went and got a Super Bowl because he had Pat Mahomes as his quarterback, and then came back here because he had a ring. We thought that he really did something there. He's had a couple interceptions for us this year, but we've seen it before. Let him go. We need some fresh blood back there in the secondary.
I mean, they have some fresh blood. Emmanuel Forbes not playing tomorrow. Benjamin St. Juste in the Ron Rivera doghouse for locking him up. And what, you want Danny Johnson? It's even on the, he's not, I don't even think he's signed next year. I think that he's a free agent. Tariq Castro Fields. I mean, what do you want to do there? I think
they could all go, but
I think Kendall Fuller is super underappreciated. I think he is a quality corner, and yeah, at times he looks very, very bad. He's not a top 5 corner, not even a top 10 corner, maybe not even a top 15. But he's at least top 25.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got bad news for you, Trev. Kendall Fuller is a quality cornerback. I'm sorry, he just is.
No, he's not.
This is a bad defense overall on every level. And I'll say it time and time again. The best cornerbacks in the world get burnt every single game.
Bruh.
They just do. They don't always get the ball thrown against them every single game, but they get burnt every single game.
Did you see the juke on Sunday?
Yeah, I saw it. Did you see the Jerry Jeudy juke, the defensive back, after he caught a pass a couple yards downfield, and he pretended that he was going to throw the ball and got the Vikings defensive back to jump up into the air.
That was more of a sell than that. I don't even know who's caught the ball for the Giants to put that move. Who was it? Who was it even?
Yeah, and I don't remember who it was. It was probably
Robinson, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been Wandale.
Wandale. No,
I did want to kind of say this though. What we tend to overlook when we talk about getting rid of guys, keeping guys, whatever. Every roster, and I'm talking about every championship roster, has 15 to 17 of their starting 22. 15 to 17 of them, you know what they are, Trev? They're Jags.
Oh my God.
Championship rosters have 15 to 17 Jags on their starting 22.
Okay, that's great, but I don't want this Jag particularly on this team next year.
Okay.
He's been here twice.
That's fine. You can definitely have that opinion on Kendall Fuller.
All right, there we go.
But in terms, if you look at, let's just talk about the Chiefs. Chiefs won the Super Bowl last year. How many A+ All Pros do they have on that team? 5, maybe 6. They've got Patrick Mahomes. They've got Kelsey. They've got 2 offensive linemen. I think Creed Humphrey and Thuney. Maybe I don't know if I'm getting his name right. They got Chris Jones and maybe Nick Bolton. That's it.
Just a reminder, Andrew Wiley was their starting right tackle, and they won a championship with him.
That's all they got. You have to have 15 to 17 Jags on your roster, starting roster every year, plus all the backups. And we're talking about 30 more guys that you need, 40 more guys. So now this team, Washington, doesn't have the A+ guys. I would argue that they have one A+ guy, Jonathan Allen. And that's it. Deron Payne, close. He's not an A+ guy.
Probably
He's
a B+ guy. Yeah.
Terry McLaurin, B+ guy.
Yeah.
You know, guys like that who are the best players are B+ guys. And that's it. The problem is we don't have those A+ guys. We don't have a Travis Kelce. We don't necessarily have to have a tight end that's that great, but a guy like that who's great. We don't have a Chris Jones who just absolutely dominates next to Jonathan Allen. We don't have, obviously, a Patrick Mahomes. We don't have 2 great offensive linemen. That's the problem with Washington. So you need guys. I'm sorry, you need Kendall Fuller's on your team.
No, you don't.
You need John Bates on your team.
There's other better Kendall Fuller.
Is that John Bates praise from Stoner that's not talking about it being an offensive line?
He's actually doing pretty well.
You know what you need? You need, unfortunately, you need Charles Leno's on your team.
That's fine, but we don't need Kendall Fuller's, bro.
You need Kendall Fuller's on your team. You just have to fill your roster with the right guys, with the right coaches, and then, of course, you have to have the A+ players in certain positions, and of course, the quarterback has to be close to an A+ to win.
He gotta get out of there. He gone. That's my player, Kendall Fuller, starting off. He gotta go.
Before we get
you can do to change my mind.
Before we get to your Stoner, VA Money Group saying Deron Payne is an A+ player.
No,
Jonathan
he's close.
B-.
That's not true.
They're flipping it on you, and I disagree with that.
That's cool.
But I just wanted to point that out there that some people, do like Deron Payne more. He is the lesser of the two. Trust me on that one. Stoner, let's get to your player to keep or let go.
To keep just one. You just want me to give you one?
Just one. We'll do some bulk ones here in a moment, but I just wanted you start off the gate with one that you're going to keep or let go.
I'm going to let go Charles Leno, and Charles Leno is a quality left tackle. He is. He's a C left tackle if we're using grades. He's average, but he's going to have games like he had this past week where he was really bad, and he's going to get dominated by an A+ player named Kayvon Thibodeau. Last week. That's what's going to happen because he's not good enough to stop a Kayvon Thibodeau. Is he good enough to stop name the guy for the Patriots? You can't because they're not good enough to stand out. Yes, he can do that. But that's where you need an A+ guy as left tackle. 1 billion%, the first guy this team should draft, I don't care if it's 5th or 10th or 15th, is a left tackle this offseason. So he's got to go. So I'm going to give Charles Leno my first, whether keep or go. He's my guy. And I like Charles Leno, but I need an A-plus guy at left tackle.
Taking the
He's
pink
the second
slip.
most important position in all of football is your left tackle.
I mean, no disagreement on the left tackle position being important. I think it's interesting. I started thinking about the draft far too early for that.
Yeah.
But Washington, where they're going to be picking, and if they sneak up into the top 5, just because like if they lose out, they're very potentially in that area.
Yeah.
And I wondered, do they pull a Cincinnati though and pick a Jamar Chase instead of the left tackle? We would say go left tackle. It's not sexy, but it's where the value pick is. But there could be a Marvin Harrison Jr. there sitting at 4 or 5, and you're like,
take him.
If Sam Howell is your guy,
yes, you take.
Do you give him a weapon, or do you protect him a little bit?
I protect him.
Yes.
I think they didn't botch it. They went to the Super Bowl that year, right? With the year that they drafted Jamar Chase. But your quarterback, your franchise, the guy you just gave $200 million to, or how much they gave Joe Burrow, he's had season-ending injuries 2 out of his 4 seasons. I don't know that you can directly correlate that to your left tackle, but you can correlate it to he gets sacked all the time. Yeah. He gets sacked as much as Sam Howell does.
His rookie year, he was injured again. He got injured against us as he was diving towards the goal line.
Yeah,
Chase wrapped him around his.
But he also got sacked at a ridiculous rate that year. And the year they went to the Super Bowl, I believe he was close to breaking David Carr's sack record when they went to the Super Bowl. So they kind of were able to overcome that. But maybe it's, the chickens are coming home to roost. I don't know if that's the saying or not, but they're paying for not having a good offensive line.
I mean, they could just have like what is this, Valdez Scantling, who cost the Chiefs the game by dropping that wide open bomb. Jamar Chase doesn't drop that.
You're seeing Kansas City struggle a little bit on offense. Right. I think the last 3 weeks, they haven't scored a touchdown in the second half of any of the games. No. They're starting to really feel the effects of Tyreek Hill, losing Tyreek Hill. Now, they won the Super Bowl last year. It's hard to say that they're suffering anything, but that may be what is their undoing this year, is not having that A-plus wide receiver.
Well, bro, your pick is the equivalent of my pick. They just play opposite sides of the ball.
They're both solid players. They're absolute starters in the league. They're bottom level starters. They're not top tier starters. Yeah.
Right.
So that's fairly interesting. Let's go on the defensive line side. There is no edge rusher outside of the two young guys they just drafted.
Yeah.
That are going to be on there. Are there any of these edge rushers you would take back? And that's Casey Toohill here in the picture for those watching on YouTube, for those listening to the audio. That's who I chose specifically for this because, again, there's no edge rushers. Is Casey Toohill worth re-signing? Is James Smith-Williams, who's dinged up right now? Unfortunately, F.A. Obata is probably not going to play football next year.
At least most of it, for sure.
At least most of it. I mean, no team's going to sign him while he's injured, and he's got to recover, and so he could end up spending the year away from football before he tags on with somebody. Is there anybody on that line that is worth keeping around? Travis shaking his head. Stoner?
No.
Yes.
On the line or defense or the edge rushers? Which one?
Specifically, the edge rushers that we need to re-sign.
Yeah,
I'm not getting rid of Jonathan Allen. Point blank, period. I mean, there are some talks about players who might be available for trade, kind of do something we've seen other organizations. And if you're going to go into rebuild mode, go into rebuild mode. You're going to need to slough off some of the big contracts you have. Me personally, I keep Jonathan Allen and I ship Daron Payne, as awkward as that is after having just signed him to a contract. people talking about trading Terry McLaurin. And it's just like, well, what do you get in return? If you can get a first rounder for Terry McLaurin, which probably not.
No, I'm saying no, you don't do that.
You don't do it.
There are certain guys that I deem untouchable and not on a personal level. Terry McLaurin and Jonathan Allen. And if you want to go into the special teams, Tress Way. These are guys that do more than what they do on the field.
Sure.
They are leaders in that locker room. They just are. And that weighs heavily into whether you decide to get rid of a guy. Is Daron Payne a leader? No. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm just saying he's not a leader. He's not a captain type guy. So if you're looking to jettison guys, like you said, Nathan, jettison Daron Payne, not Jonathan Allen. If you're looking to jettison a guy, let Curtis Samuel go, not Terry McLaurin. You just don't get rid of those type of guys who are excellent in the locker room, as long as they continue producing. And if they stop producing,
I guess that's the case, right? Because Shaq Leonard, by all counts, was a leader in the locker room. He got cut, so he gets cut, and he's out there still delivering turkeys to the Indianapolis neighborhoods and everything like that. So it was kind of a stand-up character guy. You wouldn't want to do that. He did clear waivers, by the way. So Washington not opting to take on that $6 million contract and boost the linebacker room. No, he's not. He certainly won't sign.
No reason to.
He'll sign with a competitor. So you say absolutely we need to sign somebody, one of those edge rushers, Stoner.
Why do you have a problem with signing both of them? I'm not talking about give these guys 4-year, $50 million contracts to be starting edge rushers. But again, you need guys like that. You need guys who you know are C players, maybe even C- players. You need them to fill out your roster. And you know what you got in Tuhill and James Smith-Williams. You don't have stars. You don't even have starters. But you need guys like him. And there's no reason to just say, he's not a superstar, so let's get rid of him. I don't believe in that. There are certain guys that just don't fit into certain schemes, and maybe you have to get rid of them. But if they let Tuhill go, I'm not going to be sitting here saying, what are they doing? They're screwing it up. If they let Tuhill and James Smith-Williams go, no problem. But you need guys like that as well. Sign them to a 2-year deal.
No, sure.
Like $5 million.
Trev, he's right. I mean, these guys are cheap, and no one will mind Casey Tuhill when he goes back to, having 18 snaps a game.
Right.
There's other depth
there are other Jags.
Yeah,
but this is one who is here. He's the one, like, we talk about the unity of a team, and while we'll have a new defensive coordinator, Yam says thank you. And we'll have a new whole regime and everything. If he's still playing alongside the likes of Fedarian Mathis, because he is a second stringer type guy, then you'll like that because they have chemistry together. They don't have to relearn when he does this. I'm not saying they are good. And Stoner can go on a huge, large rant about Fedarian Mathis. But we're going to keep Fedarian Mathis because he's only in his third year.
Yeah. But just let these Jags go. They've been here through the dark cloud. We got new fresh faces up top that hopefully are going to make this turn this organization around. Don't keep these guys here. I mean, we appreciate what they've done for us. I'm glad they show up every day, hard work, but there are other Jags out there that they can do way more production wise than these guys can.
VA Money Group agrees with you.
Yes. Yeah, there are.
Okay. There might be, but I just wouldn't always think the grass is always going to be greener. You know what you got.
But we need depth guys. We need good depth guys. We don't. They
are good depth guys. They're just not. They're not starters.
Did you see what happened on Sunday?
You do need C players. You do need C players, and that's
that's
you
need a bunch of them too.
But it's the same with with a great distinction here. If the defense goes from the 4-3 or really a 4-2 to a 3-4,
yeah,
these edge rushers probably on their way out. But then if that's the case, if you switch to a 3-4, you're probably you might be getting rid of both Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen, as neither of them are true nose tackles, and you probably don't put them on the edge either in that situation. But
yeah,
that'll be interesting.
It certainly all depends on the coach that comes in and the general manager and what they think. And again, I'm not standing on the table for Casey Toohill or James Smith-Williams. I'm not doing that. But I'm also saying that I don't have any problem bringing them back either. There are certain guys on this roster that I would have a problem bringing them back. But those aren't guys I have.
Well, let me, before I get to that part, because that is, as we'll want to move along here. Trev, are there any untouchables for you? Stoner
Brian
listed
Robinson.
off his untouchables. What are your
Of
untouchables?
course, Sam Howell, Brian Robinson, Terry McLaurin, I guess, one more year. Jonathan Allen. Yeah.
And then that's it.
That's probably it.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those guys are already under contract. So essentially you're not even going to let them, you're not going to cut them. Yeah. I mean, there's quite a few players that I don't think would go. Locked on Law on our comments. He's Locked on Law in the chat here right now. But there might be 6 players on the roster I care about keeping: Allen, Payne, Curl, McLaurin, Howe, Way. The rest of these guys can take a long walk off of a short pier. Rogelio Mayo, coaches and staff are all gone. Mostly half the players are gone too. And there is normally, I shared the comment earlier, NFL rosters have a turnover of 33%, right? I'm just going to throw that out there, but it's around that, right? Washington, with a new regime, could be looking closer to 50%. So it is very interesting to see here and evaluate.
I don't get that, but
You're going to bring in new faces, and a lot of these players, we've talked about how much room, cap space that Washington has. They're going to sign Jags that the new coaching staff is familiar with, and guys like a Casey Toohill might end up going because his value is knowing this defensive system. I think there's value in him also having played alongside the rest of this defensive line, but whether or not the new coaching staff values that is yet to be seen. Stoner, you had some players that you're absolutely willing to let go.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of them. Most of them are backups, but I mean, I hate singling guys out because it's just mean, but we don't need Cody Barton on this team. Sorry. This is kind of going back to my point is last year, all we did is cry and moan and complain about Cole Holcomb. Fine. Get rid of Cole Holcomb. Well, all you can afford is a Cody Barton. And now we're all sitting here saying, I can't believe we let Cole Holcomb go for Cody Barton. Because Cody Barton is not very good either. He's not a game changer. But again, you need guys like that. But we got to stop also giving up on the young guys as well. We have to not give up on Jahan Dotson and Derek Forrest. And of course, the rookies this year, guys like Quan Martin and Emmanuel Forbes. But guys like Cole Turner, let's not give up on guys like that who are not necessarily producing very much, but could possibly in the future. Benjamin St. Juice, let's not give up on guys like this as well.
He's a quarterback from Minnesota. He's gone.
He's from Canada.
He's a Big Ten cornerback.
Yeah, right. But I'm just saying that there are some young guys. I know a lot of people in the chat were talking about getting rid of Jahan Dotson for a 5th-round pick. I mean,
no.
Jahan Dotson, give him a shot here. He's in his 2nd year, and we've seen what he can do. He's had some issues this year with dropping the ball. Understood. Yeah. We've seen what he can do. You don't give up on talents like Jahan Dotson.
How far have we come from winning that trade early in the season where people are like, Sam Howell was a hit. Jahan Dotson's a hit. He's going to have an amazing season. Cole Turner's great. Who else was it? B-Rob. And now it's just like everyone's just like, you know what? You got you got Brian Robinson, but because a lot of people turning on Sam Howell here in the chat right now.
He's not a Jag right now. He's
just saying marginally better than Gardner Minshew. Ooh, yeah, that's rough. Kevin here on topic though. Why are we pawning off our whole team when we're having one of those lost X games by 7 points or less type seasons? As coaching GM overhaul with retooling our weaknesses, not enough.
No, it's not.
Washington has lost a lot of games by 1 score this year. They've also been blown out a couple times
by 3 times.
3, yeah,
at least.
The Bills, the Bears,
Bears, and this last Giants game. They lost 31-19.
Yeah.
That's
double digits.
That was a 1-score game late into the fourth quarter.
All right. Fine. You still lost by 2 scores.
An interception return for a touchdown is what made that a 2-score game.
Oh, we know.
Oh, yeah. We lived it. We were there.
Go back 5 years or go into the future 5 years and look back at the game. And what are you going to say? Oh, the Giants blew us out that day. 31.
If you're a box score checker, absolutely. right?
Yeah. I mean, sure. So I'm just saying.
Fair enough. Yeah. I do think that it's going to be an interesting rest of the season as we are going to get the chance to evaluate a lot of players and what they bring to the table and whether or not these players are worth bringing back. Does Sadiq Charles ever enter the lineup again? Whereas Chris Paul, who has not been the darling that Stoner has wanted him to be.
Right.
So these are the players that we'll see. They need a center. Nick Gates, Tyler Larson, not cutting it, but it's just like there's so many needs on the roster. But you're right, Stoner. You have to keep some of these guys around because you have to fill out the 53, and not everybody could be drafted as an A-plus player.
If Sam Howell wasn't taking so many sacks as he did early in the season and halfway through the season, then we wouldn't be talking about the problem at center and left guard. And if Jahan Dotson wasn't dropping the ball and Diami dropping it and Terry McLaurin dropping it, if these guys weren't dropping the ball all over the place, you might have a couple more wins and we won't be talking about all of these other issues. If some of these things would come together, then you wouldn't have holes that you're talking about now, because when you lose all these games, now all of a sudden you just start looking at all of your holes and you say, man, we need a left tackle, we need a left guard, we need a center, and we need a right tackle. And we need 2 defensive ends, and we need 2 linebackers, and we need 2 corners and a safety. But if the whole season had turned on just a few plays here and there, and this team is 6-5 instead of 4-7, we're not talking about all these holes. And if you have A-plus players in certain positions, especially the quarterback position, then that overcomes a lot of these other issues. And again, you don't have these holes that you're screaming at. When that game that Sam Howell had such a good game that they won, would that have been the Atlanta game maybe? Or maybe it was the New England game or whatever. And we talked about how good enough Chris Paul was at left guard because Sam was getting rid of the ball faster.
Sure.
And he was avoiding those sacks. And now all of a sudden we're not saying, well, we need a new left guard. If it all comes together, you don't have as many holes. But when it doesn't, then all of a sudden you have a hole and you want a 50% overhaul. You're not getting a 50% overhaul, Nathan. That's probably never happened in the history of the NFL.
Well,
50%.
We'll have to mark it end of season roster. We'll count them up for the starting 53. You're not wrong, Stoner. It's going to be interesting, and a lot has to go right for a lot of things to improve here in Washington, and a lot of things are going to have to go right if they are going to spoil the Dallas Thanksgiving and not our own. We're going to talk about the game coming up here in the game. The Washington Commanders head to Dallas to take on the Cowboys for a Thanksgiving special, right smack dab in the middle of the day. And unfortunately, I will be spending it with some Dallas Cowboy fans. Yeah, some of these fans stopped watching the NFL back when the kneeling was going on, and they're definitely passing fans, but that won't stop the misery if the Cowboys trump the Washington Commanders.
Nice.
So, gentlemen,
he's been holding out of that all day, Trev.
Trev, yes, I got the brand moving over. Boom! Look at those beautiful faces on the rundown special there. Trev, what
up?
What is the chances that the Washington Commanders won't ruin our Thanksgiving?
Just above me, like maybe. I mean, it's because it's what we've done all season. It's what we do every year. It's what we've done the past few years of Thanksgiving. I mean, I was watching a clip on Twitter when RG3 was quarterback. No, I'm sorry. Antonio Gibson was COVID year 2020. And we were both 3-7. We played on Thanksgiving. The Cowboys were 3-7, and so were we. For one,
Didn't
that's just weird.
Absolutely smoke them in that game.
Yes.
Was that like 56-20 or something like that?
Something like that.
14, I think.
And then I saw the clip of RG3 quarterbacking in those yellow uniforms and threading the needle Santana Moss. He was up 28-3 in the first half. And then I think, did we win last year on Thanksgiving, or they beat us?
No, last year we won week 18. Sam Howell's first.
So and it's just what we do all year. We play to the level of our competition, even though we shouldn't do that. We should be consistent throughout the whole season and have our own identity. But our identity is, however good you are, we'll match that. The Giants are the worst team in the National Football League, like literally. And we played down to their level of competition, maybe even worse. Felt like we had time, felt like they had Sam Howell, the way they were ball. It's just weird. But the Eagles games both this year, we lose by 3. We force overtime, lose by 3. We played to their competition level. We beat them last year, but undefeated. We give them their only home loss on Thursday night, or Monday night maybe. But so that's why I'm kind of optimistic about this year, because we played to the level of competition of our opponents. Whether we win or lose, we still play to their competition level. So I think that we will show up, because I think the leaders of the squad, McLaurin, Allen, are fed up of losing these winnable games. It's not like we're going to the Chiefs and Chiefs are blowing us out, or, keep that same energy, or the Bill, or I don't know, who else is good? The Lions are blowing us out, we're losing to horrible teams.
Right.
And also the Cowboys haven't beaten a team over 500. So that's a recipe for us to lose, but I think we will win, because we played Dallas really good on Thanksgiving every year, whether we win or lose, and we played to level competition. So
who are the good teams? Maybe. Who are the good teams that Washington has played this year? If you want to include Buffalo, Buffalo and Philadelphia twice. That's it, right? Everyone else has been mediocre to bad.
Seahawks. Yeah, they're
right in there. But you're right. You had Buffalo at 16-0 in the fourth quarter. Yeah. And you were playing really bad, but you were hanging in there.
Right.
And then, of course, both Philly games, you were there. You were ahead at halftime in both of them, and you were at least tied in the fourth quarter of both of them.
Right.
So, yeah, I agree with you, Trev. I think this is going to be a little bit tighter than we think. We're not going to go into Dallas and lose 56-14 like we did a couple of years ago when they just absolutely owned us in one of those games. It's not going to happen. But I in the end, we're going to have to see kind of how it's all going to play out. But I just don't. Yeah, I'm with you, Trev. I still think, as much as we all know that Ron Rivera is going to get fired at the end of the year at the latest, this team still plays for him. The team still respects him. He hasn't lost the locker room yet.
Right.
And they still play for him. and they're going to play for him on Thursday, tomorrow. They are. They don't have the talent that Dallas has, and that's probably what it's going to come down to. But they're not going to roll over. They're not going to go in there and just get beat, because they do have certain talent at certain positions that are going to allow them to hang in for at least a little while.
Mm-hmm.
The quarterback play is absolutely going to be necessary for Washington to stay in here, and for Sam Howell to play not like Gardner Minshew, which everybody's starting to come to that. And I've been saying that for the last few weeks, that's his floor is Gardner Minshew. Yeah. There's some people who thinks that Minshew is definitely better, but neither here nor there. For Washington to win, Sam Howell is going to have a Tommy DeVito type day. And to do that, he's going to need to stay upright, unlike Tommy DeVito did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
How badly is this guy in the image going to wreck this line that we have? When we talked with Jeff Kavanaugh, and that video is out here on our YouTube channel right now, he said that they line up Micah Parsons wherever they find a weak spot. That weak spot really is left guard and center for us. So how bad is Chris Paul and Tyler Larson going to muck up this game, Stoner?
Well, yeah, that's probably going to be the difference in this game, because I think talent-wise, in terms of our offense against their defense, I think Washington's offense matches up pretty well with them. Their offense is much better than our defense, though, and that's an issue. But Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. He's the guy that we thought Chase Young was going to be. He's a guy that you have to account for on every play. And the problem is, like you said, Nathan, it's not like we can say that the offense can say, okay, Charles Leno is going to have a tight end on his side every time to deal with Micah Parsons. Well, Micah Parsons is going to be on the other side of the ball then.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't kind of game plan for him, because he plays all over. He comes up the middle. He comes from the right side. He comes from the left side. And when he comes at you, it's going to be a problem. And so I think he does play a major role in the game tomorrow, and he causes a lot of issues for Washington, because, man, I wish we had a player like Micah Parsons. I wish we had a player like, the Bosas and the Myles Garretts of the world and everything. But Micah Parsons is a terror.
Yes.
He's probably the scariest dude in the NFL to me, in terms of trying to figure out how to stop him.
Aaron Donald is pretty scary.
Aaron Donald is
Aaron
for
Donald
sure,
is
but you know where
scary,
Aaron Donald's going to be.
Hall of Fame.
I like it.
He's going to be right there at the defensive tackle spot. So you know where he's going to be.
Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying.
So you can game plan. But Micah Parsons, you have no idea. You can set up this whole thing, and Sam can say, okay, let's adjust the line to the left, because that's where Micah Parsons is. And the next thing you know, a half a second later, he runs all the way to the other side.
Stunt. Yeah, it's going to be
what I mean? And you're like, well, there goes that plan. So you can't plan for him.
Yeah. Earlier in the show, I think it was during the warm-up, you mentioned, Stoner, how offensive tackle is the second most important position in the NFL. Mine is a pass rusher like Micah Parsons, because if you don't have a QB, you need a guy who's going to get after the QB. And Micah Parsons is that guy. On the flip side, for our line, we don't have that. Despite the fact that Washington is coming off a 9-sack performance.
Yeah.
By the way, none of that in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
Washington doesn't have a player right now that's going to be consistently in the backfield sacking a quarterback. They have a couple guys up front with Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne that can pick up sacks.
Right.
They can also stop the run. So, but unfortunately, I just think that Dak Prescott's going to end up having too much time back there, because Casey Tuhill and KJ Henry and Andre Jones Jr. are not going to be able to get after Dak Prescott. So while Washington could run maybe the Cinco to force the Cowboys into a passing attack, you have to deal with the fact that Dak Prescott's going to have 4 or 5 seconds to find CeeDee Lamb. And I hate to tell you this, guys, CeeDee Lamb is a darn good wide receiver.
Been trying to tell you all that for 3 years, and y'all just kept saying,
I knew he was a good wide receiver because he's a Sooner. Of course, he's going to be a good wide receiver. But
he's all right.
I tried to tell you he was better than Terry, and you guys all just ripped into me and everything. He's
try
better
to
than
say
Terry
everybody's
McLaurin.
Sorry. Terry. You still think DK Metcalf is better than Terry?
Sorry, he is.
Oh my God, we don't even go there. We'll be off topic the rest of the show.
Well, okay, so all right, no, we're going there, Trev, because just for a second. This is the year finally that Washington can say we have a quarterback, and that quarterback throws the ball all the time. And Terry McLaurin is still only going to have 80 catches for just over 1,000 yards. So I love Terry. I think he's important to this team. I think he's untouchable, but he's not an A-plus receiver.
He's a wide receiver too.
So is CeeDee Lamb.
I think the biggest difference between Terry McLaurin and the top tier of wide receivers is his inability to take over a game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've seen a performance from Terry McLaurin. We've seen catches, right?
Right.
Stephon Gilmore is going to be lined up out there, and we've seen Terry McLaurin, Moss, Stephon Gilmore. Okay.
Yes.
We've seen him make ridiculous catches. What we haven't seen from Terry McLaurin is have like this 12 catch, 300-yard game because he is just an absolute menace. He is a quality wide receiver. And I do think he has the ability to rack up more than 1,000 yards with great QB play. Unfortunately, we haven't really had great QB play. But yes, he is more and more. And unfortunately, wide receivers, they do kind of hit a plateau at 30 years old. And Terry McLaurin came in late. So he's nearing that stage already. I think he's 28 years old. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of one of those situations where I don't think we're ever going to see a Terry McLaurin who is an A-plus wide receiver.
That's right.
Yeah. Can we? Yeah. And we should just take Scary off of his name because
stop.
He is not. Deontay Banks locked him down on Sunday.
No, he didn't.
I'm not just saying that because of the social media post, but he did.
No, he didn't.
Terry McLaurin gets locked down a lot.
You know what? I might have me a job tomorrow. Go to the all 22 of Terry McLaurin and Banks. He didn't lock him down. He didn't. I'm sorry. That's just absolutely not true. He can say at the end of the game that Terry McLaurin had 5 catches for 42 yards, and I locked him down.
Which is average.
But he didn't.
Which is bad. Yeah, we don't have
He locked him down in terms of Sam Howell throwing the ball to him only 5 times for 43 yards. But if you watch the all 22, Terry McLaurin is open all freaking day. And either the play was not for him, or Sam didn't see him, or Sam's aggression was not there to go to him, or whatever. Sorry, he didn't.
Right.
Just wanted to say that about
him. A lot of people coming to defend Terry McLaurin as well, talking about how can he take over if he doesn't get that targets. He's not getting targets like a Chase or Diggs, AJ Brown. So he's not really given that opportunity. I will say there was not a wonderful stat because it definitely wasn't in Washington's favor. The wide receivers right now aren't getting the separation that we expected them to get at the beginning of the season. So
I saw that,
how is that going to change this game? Can they find separation against the defensive backfield of the Cowboys? Will they have opportunities to?
Maybe
when you have a Micah Parsons going to terrorize Sam Howell.
Yeah. I was going to say, it depends on our offensive line if Sam has enough time. Maybe also don't call the game where there's so many reads of progressions you have to go through.
Right.
Give Sam a better... And that's what leads... I was thinking about this off camera. This leads me into that. The developing the quarterback. I feel like our offense is too focused on that in these winnable games. And they're not letting Sam Howell play his game. I feel like they're calling the game to make sure to see if he can execute it rather than play your game. We'll go back and look at the film and see what you need to correct that goes along with your game that we're preaching that can help your game. But I feel like they're just spending way too much time to see how he reacts to certain things rather than, it's 3rd and 4 with a minute left. Go get it. Not take a 5-step drop back, look to this, and then, that's what I feel like. So that's probably off topic, but that's what depends on Dallas too. If they call a game plan that can let Sam Howell execute rather than take these long step backs, these long developing route plays, all these motions that don't do anything where you're just throwing to here. Like,
yeah, if they spend most of that game with these deeper drops, then they're in trouble. They can't do that against this team, not with our offensive line and their defensive line. They're going to have to go to that quick game. They're just going to need to do it. They are going to have to run the ball more. And we've been saying it forever and ever and ever. And this offense has been much more productive than it was last year. Much more productive overall.
For sure.
Points, yards, all of that stuff. It has been. But it hasn't been sort of dominant at times that it could be, or even that it was last year. There were times that this offense dominated a game by running the ball quite a bit, controlling the time of possession, keeping their defense off of the field. And that's what kind of, I believe, helped make the defense last year a top 5 defense.
Yeah.
And so that's what this offense needs to do. Sure, they're getting more points, they're getting more yards, but they're doing it at the expense of being an efficient offense and keeping a defense on its heels. And you have to have more run plays. You have to have quicker passing game. And we say it every week. And it really, at the end of the day, we always look back and say, why didn't they run the ball more? Why didn't they have quicker throws more? And then you go back and you look at the stats and you see, well, he threw for 362 yards.
Didn't feel
and
like
they ran the ball for 106 yards. So what's the problem here? Well, the problem here is that you just don't have the efficiency on offense if you're not controlling the ball, and then you're turning the ball over, and then you're bringing that defense out over and over and over again, and that defense is going to get worn out into the 4th quarter.
Well, the defense has been bad all year round, and regardless of whether or not Washington's won the time of possession battle, largely because they've been giving up big plays. We talked about CeeDee Lamb a moment ago, and Tony Pollard's been known to break out a big run. How many big plays can we expect this Washington defense to give up tomorrow, Trev?
At least 2.
At least 2.
At least 2. Yeah, I mean, that's our MO of this whole season. I saw on Twitter the stat, they're like, we lead the league by like a long shot of explosive plays allowed and the yardage that we allowed on them. So, and that just goes back to the secondary and linebacker play. Our defensive line is good enough to put some pressure on the quarterback, but they always find a hole, like Stone was talking about in our defense, which is the middle of the field with Jamin Davis, Cody Barton, David Miracle Whip, whoever's right there, Jabril Cox, whoever's there, and then deep, you got Kendall Fuller, who falls for everything, BSJ, who's a touchy-feely guy, and then you got the 2 youngsters back there, Percy Butler and who else? And Cam Curl's in there too. So it's like, well, he's a phenomenal guy. I'm coming around to Cam Curl. He's a pretty good safety. He's very underrated.
Coming around. Yeah,
I'm coming around. But yeah, so I'm at least 2. CeeDee Lamb, like you said, is explosive. Tony Pollard. Dak could break out for a run, like it's just Brandon Cooks. He's a deep threat. Who's going to cover Brandon Cooks? They've got speed. Like, it's just going to be tough.
Well,
it's going to be tough.
Well, it comes down to, and yes, I agree with all that you said there, Trev, but it comes down to getting pressure on Dak, right? When you look at the game just last week, and Tommy DeVito is not Dak, okay? I'm not saying that. But when they put pressure on Tommy DeVito, he couldn't do anything, and they sacked him 9 times. But when he's able to just stand back there and let routes develop and let plays happen, he makes plays. And any quarterback can do that. Any quarterback can stand back there and throw the ball if they have time to do so. So Washington has got to get after Dak.
Somehow.
And if they can do that, they can't just sit back there and just say, I'm going to let 4 guys go after Dak. They can't do that. They've got to bring blitzes. They've got to bring guys off the edge at times, which they did against the Giants, not in the fourth quarter, but they did it so often in that game, and they sacked him 9 times. He couldn't do anything with it. And most quarterbacks can't do anything when they're under that sort of pressure. So they've got to try that. They just can't sit there and let CeeDee Lamb make double moves on Kendall Fuller, because if he has time to wait for those double moves, he's going to connect to CeeDee Lamb.
I got a stat for you guys to see if it'll help out anything for tomorrow.
All right.
Terry McLaurin has 3 touchdowns this season. 3.
Yeah.
Deron Bland, playing opposite side of him, has 4, and he
4.
plays cornerback.
Yeah. Is Bland the rookie from Alabama?
No, you're thinking Brian Branch, I think.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay.
Deron Bland's been there for a while, but he's balling out, and we face him. I saw a comment that said, let's see how Terry goes against him, and the other one's coming up on the schedule too. So we'll see.
I'll take Terry against any corner, against Bland, against Diggs if he was healthy, against who was the guy from last week, Banks. Yeah. I would take him against anybody as long as my quarterback has the time to get him the ball and he's not double teamed. But one-on-one, Terry, anybody, Terry's going to win. And again, Jahan Dotson will. And probably De'Ami Brown would. But it's all got to come together, and the quarterback's got to have time. And you afford him time by not just sitting back there and just having him take 5-step drops every time.
Well, I mean, he just has to be able to connect on those as well. What if he's taking a 5-7-step drop? You got to give him, protection, but he's got to be able to hit those. He wasn't hitting those against the Giants. Sure. You brought up the De'Ami Browns of the world here. One of the things I noticed on the rewatch and then looking over at the snap counts was that once Curtis Samuel went out, which he got ejected after defending Sam Howell on that football run, which, by the way, Trev, that was Sam Howell.
That was Sam Howell
doing Sam Howell things, right? That was him in his bag. He, by the way, he had open wide receivers. If he would have just looked up and slung the ball, kind of how we saw him throw to Brian Robbins, but he was like, "I'm going to get this," and then he bounces off Banks and he keeps going. It was great tenacity. But Curtis Samuel gets ejected, and you have Jamison Crowder, you have Byron Pringle, you have De'Ami Brown splitting those touches or those snaps even that Curtis Samuel normally would take. Not a single one of them hit 33% of it. I think the highest was Jamison Crowder at maybe 30%. So close, but not there. They weren't productive. Washington, if Curtis Samuel, for whatever reason, can't go, they don't have 3 wide receivers. We've talked very highly of Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel, but that is not a great room behind them that can take up the slack and move this offense forward. So what kind of day does Jahan Dotson and Curtis Samuel have to have? Because we're expecting Terry McLaurin to get his. But what day do those guys have to have so we don't see a Jamison Crowder, a Byron Pringle, or a De'Ami Brown, except for 1 or 2 snaps on offense?
You got to catch the ball. Get separation and catch the ball. That's what you got to do. Jahan Dotson drops a lot. Curtis Samuel, they got to use him. Can they just turn on the Carolina tape when they had Curtis Samuel and look and see how they used him there?
Right.
I mean, seriously, they don't. He was supposed to flourish. He was quote unquote excited for this new offense with EB because he could get more touches and more designs. No, they don't do it. Just turn it on and look at and line them up in the backfield. Line him up over here. Line him up over there. Give him some screen, jet sweeps. Use him for what he's been used for his entire league before he came to Washington. Try it. But yeah, that's what's going to have to happen. Catch short slants, get separation, because Sam is not going to be afraid to heave the ball down, as we all saw on Sunday when he overthrew the crap out of De'Ami Brown. He's going to launch it. So be ready, be open, and be ready. This is what you guys did in Carolina. This is what he asked you guys to bring Sam Howell here just for that reason. And last week, you catch one over top of your head, surrounded by 4 people. Sunday, you dropping this in your lap for a touchdown. It's just, I don't know, but they're going to have to just catch the ball and be used properly. Just catch the ball.
It seems like there's been an inordinate amount of drops for this team this year.
Yes.
And by guys with normally sure hands. Like, I mean, I don't know if Logan might have had one drop this year, maybe, but he's had some catches where you're just like, well, he doesn't usually make that catch. Right. And he makes them. But then guys who are supposed to be sure-handed, Terry dropped those 2 in a row in the one game. Jahan dropped like a pass in like 3 straight games, something like that. And you're just going, and Diami's dropped some. Now, look, Diami's Diami, but he's dropped some, and it's just weird how this is sort of just kind of snowballs, and then next thing you know, you're 4-7. Yep. I mean, Brian Robinson is fumbling the ball. He's fumbled it a couple of times. Now he's only lost
Logan Thomas
like once. Logan Thomas has fumbled it away a couple of times. Byron Pringle is fumbling, and you're just like,
that was awful.
What is going on with this team in terms of, and it's just those little things. Maybe Byron Pringle hasn't dropped the ball all year except for the one critical time, right? Yeah. And Brian Robinson hasn't done it all year except for the one. And when Logan Thomas does it, it's a really critical time. And all of a sudden, in the game-winning drive, Terry McLaurin drops 2 of them.
Yes.
And you're just going, why? Why does that happen? And if those things don't happen, you could be looking at a 7-4 record.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
or a 6-5 record, and we're not having these conversations about the freaking draft and who to keep and
before Thanksgiving. I
don't know.
It's just weird. There's a lot of those games this year that Washington could have easily won, and there are games that they could have easily lost as well. So I get that it goes both ways for sure, but there's some games you're just sitting there going, they should have won that game. If guys who normally do the right things do the right things. 6 turnovers in one game, and you still almost won the game. It's just weird.
You gotta start fast too.
A very, very weird team. Almost as weird as you showing love to Bates, Stoner, and Trev showing love to Curl. Now, Gus, I have to ask, who was the Oklahoma State Cowboy that I praised? Because I'm trying to think back, and I can't think of who that would have been.
Blackman.
And who's on the roster?
Are there any in the NFL?
There are, but not currently. I don't think on the on that Dallas roster. Now, fun fact is I call play-by-play, or I did. The season's over for the Garber Wolverines, but I called their play-by-play for the football team, one of the local high school football teams. My co-host for that, the color commentator, a former athlete, his cousin is on the Dallas Cowboys. So I will be watching for that one. So that'll be a fun thing. I forget which one it is. So I'll have to message him, but apparently he got paid big and he's making some good money there. Not going to be at the game, however, is Emmanuel Forbes out due to injury. Yam here saying might be a good thing. Now, not to say that where's that conspiracy music, Stoner?
Oh, let me find it. Keep going.
Might need some conspiracy music on this one, because I think that injury might be a little overplayed here. This coaching staff seems to only want to put him out in a position where he might be successful. And this game against the Cowboys, it would be better to just say, hey, whatever you're dealing with, it's too much. We're going to sit you rather than line him up next to a Cooks, who is a deep threat, or CeeDee Lamb, who can absolutely throw a double move and put Emmanuel Forbes on his backside. That it might just be one of those situations where they're like, you know what, we're just going to, you stay home.
This is why the coaching staff needs to go. Because they're putting personal feelings into this defense.
If that's true. I mean, Nathan's totally
I like that theory, bro. He came back after he got injured. He came back and finished the game, but now he's missing practice. He can't play on Thursday.
Well, you remember the last play of the game when he got hurt because he knocked down a pass and then he jumped up and did this and then he hurt his arm. So he did his little Tweety bird and then he hurt his shoulder.
Get him. They're out to get him, bro.
Maybe that's what happened.
They're out to get him. He's the only way he's going to learn is if he plays.
We're going to look back at this tenure, this Ron Rivera era, these 4 years, and we're going to be like, oh my gosh, he was a horrible coach. But you know what? We're going to look back at the Ron Rivera, the personnel guy, and we're going to go, oh my God, who gave him all that power? Because these are unbelievably bad decisions up and down drafts and free agents. Just start with his very first pick he ever selected for Washington.
Chase Young already shipped away for a comp pick.
Yeah. And I think they only have one guy left from that draft.
All right, that's an exception because everybody knew.
Is it?
No, wait.
He doesn't want you to jump on him
because he was the Predator. He was from Ohio State. He was nationally known. He should have been number 1 pick, but he fell number 2 because he's a defensive guy. Number 1 needed a quarterback. And he got Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He set the blueprint of why we picked him at 2.
Yeah.
Sure.
And then injuries, his attitude, off-field stuff. Okay, cool. But these other selections now, beyond that, Quan Martin, Emmanuel Forbes, Jamin Davis,
bro.
Chris
Fedarian
Mathis. Who else?
And I'm going to throw one out at you.
Ricky Stromberg, like all these players we have never heard of until a week before because Jamin Davis was a day 2 linebacker, but for some reason he's catching day 1 flair, and Ron Rivera bit at that, and look where we are now.
He's an athlete.
So Chase Young is my exception just because of his production in college, his national popularity, and his defensive Rookie of the Year. Everyone else we've drafted since then has either been an injured reserve, benched, or just 4th, 5th practice squad guy. So Chase Young's my exception.
I agree that Chase Young should have been picked at number 2. Everybody in the world said he should be. And I agreed with it as well. Not that my opinion matters, but that doesn't mean it didn't turn out to be a bad pick.
Well, yeah.
It did turn out to be a bad pick.
But outside of that, all the ones are bad from the jump, I guess I want to say. Chase took a minute. It took the fame and fortune to get it, and then we're like, oh yeah, okay, he doesn't care about anything but himself and this and that. But the other guys are like, who the hell is Quan Martin? Like
Quan Martin, I'll say this: he is starting to come in to a role here. I don't know what he's going to look like next season with a new defensive coordinator or anything like that.
Right.
But Quan Martin, I think, might quietly be the best pick in this draft. Not that that's a very high bar to jump over. I mean, Stoner could step over that bar. So
you said you can't jump, Stoner.
Hey.
I played basketball with this man. I know he can't jump. Okay.
All right.
No, but where Quan was chosen in the draft, he should be producing at a higher level.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying too as well.
Yeah,
all
he
these
should
ones
be
picked,
a no doubt starter.
But they're not. None of them do.
I'm going to do an impression. Okay. I'm going to do an impression of Fedarian Mathis when he was drafted by the Commanders. Okay. You ready? Here's my impression. What? It's only the second round. I'm not supposed to go now. What? The Commanders took me?
Oh, hey, thank you, Nick Saban.
I'm going in the second round. Yeah, appreciate y'all. I had no idea I was going to be.
Hey, B-Rod, I just went second. Where you going? Oh, you going fourth? Word. I'll see you in the fourth.
Gus, Fedarian Mathis didn't even realize he was going to be selected in the second round.
Antonio Gibson, another one that was a reach as much as I really liked.
As was B-Rob.
Brian Robinson. No. Yeah, that one. Oh, man. Do you remember how mad I was?
Yes.
When we did that? Gus here mentioning that, I don't know how this ended up in a dog pile on Ron thing when we're trying to talk about the Cowboys, but maybe the young pick was a solid one, but his development was managed poorly by Ron. You can blame Ron for that. And I do think there's been some player development issues as well. And that's why Washington's in a position that we're actually talking personnel decisions, before Thanksgiving, instead of talking about, okay, this is a playoff push. This is what the team can do. Because as much as I want to believe that Washington has a chance here, 49% picked Washington in our poll and nearly 1,500 votes here. 51% picked Dallas. And it was I'm with JG on this one. It's like, I can't even make that vote. I'd have to seriously be delusional to pick my team, but there's no way I'd ever pick Dallas. And it's just hard to sit there and, gauge this and realize that we're a bad team. We got this game against Dallas, who is not a bad team. And in fact, they're a team that beats up on bad teams. Might not be able to win against good teams, but they're able to pick up, against some bad teams. And we will be picking those here in the cool down. When we come back, let's see those game predictions. All right, here we are in the cool down. A couple quick ones here before we do get to those game predictions. Gus Bus saying, did you know Logan Thomas has as many receptions as George Kittle and will likely finish third in NFC and receptions this year? Pro Bowl? ?
Hey, you ain't got to convince me, Gus. You got to convince those two guys, especially that guy over there. He is not a Logan Thomas guy. Logan Thomas is fine. Pro Bowl? No, he's not going to make Pro Bowl.
No, I'm afraid not.
Who's number 2 in NFC tight ends receptions?
I'll have to look at that. Goddard probably not. Laporta has been having a good season as a rookie there.
Really good. Minnesota.
TJ Hawkinson.
He's number 1.
Logan Thomas, 43 catches, 58 targets, 409 yards. That put me on my season-long dollar loser list there because
that's right. You said he wouldn't reach 400, didn't you?
I said we weren't going to have a tight end that would reach 400, and here we go. I didn't realize Cole Turner was going to drop off this bad. He's dropped off bad. He has 9 catches on 13 targets for 89 yards.
He's tripled last year's pace. Didn't he only have 2 or 3 all of last year?
Yeah, he only had 2 catches last year.
Yeah.
So that one's a good one. Big E, for the panel, why do y'all throw hate to B-Rob, snubbing him left and right? He plays with more heart than anyone and is a darn good player, one of our best. Anyone want to?
Do I need to defend that? Because I will.
Go ahead.
I will. He does have a lot of heart. He plays hard. He finishes runs. He gets through that line and he puts it to people. He's been fined for bringing it to people really, really hard. I like the guy. I think there are probably 15 guys in the NFL that are the same level of talent as B-Rob. If you brought in, Rico Dowdell, whatever his name is, the backup for the Cowboys. He's the same talent as Brian Robinson. I'm sorry, these running backs are a dime a dozen.
They are.
Most of them are. There are 5 special running backs in the NFL, if that. Brian Robinson's fine. I'm not hating on him in terms of I don't want him on my team. He's good enough to be on this team, but he's not special.
Big E must have missed our day after reckoning where I named B-Rob my go-go. I really thought B-Rob had a good game, and maybe Stoner is right, and it pains me to say it a little bit, but Brian Robinson, he asked me the question on the day after reckoning. He was like, if Brian Robinson was cut from the team or traded from the team, would we really be upset?
It wasn't that long ago, people, and when I say people, I mean this guy right over here was saying Chris Rodriguez is about to take over for the starting running back position for Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And you just got him, you plucked him out of in the 6th round because he can basically do anything Brian Robinson can do. He can.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
This is what's wrong with our squad. We have too many players that can do each other's jobs. I mean, You're supposed to, it's NFL, but as far as production wise.
Position flex, man. Position flex. Ron
No,
Rivera.
I think he's talking about we don't have any special players.
No.
That's what we were saying at the very beginning of the show today.
Could be our first string running back. Our third string wide receiver could be our first string wide receiver some weeks. Like we have, I mean, I know it's supposed to be about depth, but like there's no separation. Everybody is the same. Like it's this like there's no.
It's a team of Jags.
There's no blue chip players is the problem.
No, not at all.
You've just got like 3 or 4 close to blue chip. I think Jonathan Allen is an A+ player, but I think he's probably the only one. And again, we talked about this earlier, but Deron Payne, Terry McLaurin, those guys are B+ players, but they're not A+ players. And you need more A+ players, or else just go get another one. Just draft another running back like they've been doing.
But they probably will, and I'll lose my dang on mind.
That's right.
We're drafting a 3rd round running back, but that's neither here nor there. Let's get into the game predictions. I mentioned that 51% are taking the Dallas Cowboys. JG with that good one there. Nick, 35-21, Dallas coaching staff relieved of duties after the game. EB left his interim for a tryout as head coach the rest of the year. So sorry, make sure I pause there. That's 35-21 Dallas. And it's Washington's coaching staff relieved of the duties after the game. A lot of people think that might happen. Ant 20-23, Washington kicks a game-winning field goal. How about that? Joey Sly saves the day. Here in the chat, TJ with 28-27, Washington upset alert. Gregory going the opposite direction, 48-17, the boys.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Code Talker. We'll get to TJ's back in a moment here. The Code Talker, 31-24 Cowboys. Rick Diaz, Dallas 52, Washington 20. Yeah, it's a bad one. That's a bad one. So TJ has been down in the dumps here for us on Ref the District, saying he can't pick Washington until they start winning. But I'm telling you, it's the Dallas Cowboy effect. You just you can't pick Dallas in this game.
Okay. It's weird. Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
That's weird for TJ to flip like that.
Says I know Stoner, I feel like the Cowboys are an accident waiting to happen. Why not this week? I will tell you this. If Washington beats Dallas, they will not hear the end of it.
Right.
For the rest of this, they could go undefeated the rest of the season. They have a couple good teams left to go play against. And if they win those games, it's not going to matter. Everyone's going to look back at Thanksgiving and go, they lost to the Commanders, who will probably finish in a top 10 pick. They're not a real team. They're not a real team.
They lost to Arizona this year. Don't forget that. They got whooped by Arizona, I think, if I remember correctly. So they've done some whooping on some people, but if they play a good team, they lose, right? They've lost to Philly. They've lost to San Fran, and then Arizona, I think, is their other loss. Right? Do I have that right? I don't even know what the record is, to be honest.
They lost to the Eagles, they lost to the 49ers, and they lost to the Cardinals. So they are, in fact, 7-3 Stoner. Those were the 3 losses. Their wins were against the Giants, the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Rams, the Giants again, and the Panthers.
Yeah, they haven't beaten anybody.
They have not played any good teams. Or they've not beat any good teams. They lost to the 2 good teams that they've gone up against, the 49ers and Eagles, and then a surprise loss to the Cardinals 3 weeks into the season.
So slow your roll on the Cowboys are some juggernaut type team. Keep that in mind. They haven't beaten anybody. The best team that they've beaten might be the Rams. No, you had one other one that was the Chargers.
The Chargers, yeah.
Is that the best team they've beaten this year?
Monday
a 500 team? So they haven't been tested yet. In the 2 games that they've lost or the 2 games that they've played a good team, they've lost. And one of them they got blown out. Is that correct? Didn't the 49ers
blew them out 42-10.
Right. So they're not some juggernaut here. They've got a good record. They haven't beaten any good teams yet. So they can be had. I will say that. They've beaten the Panthers and the Giants twice. And look, I understand Washington's not a great team, not even a good team, but Dallas isn't some great 7-3 team that Washington should be shaking in their boots at. Therefore, I am going to say Washington is going to hang with Dallas this game. This is not going to be a blowout. They're going to play up to their competition. Sam Howell's going to have a pretty good day, and it's going to come down to the fourth quarter where Washington, unfortunately, this year, not played well in the fourth quarter. Early in the year, they did. Against Arizona and Denver, they played well in the fourth quarter. This week is not going to happen, unfortunately. Their kicker is going to kick one, is going to kick a field goal to win the game. I already forgot his name. He's a really good kicker. But he's going to kick one at the buzzer to beat Washington 24-21.
Wow. That's actually really bold that you think this defense can hold the Dallas Cowboys to 24 points.
Yes, I do think it's going to happen. Again, Washington is not giving up on Ron Rivera. They're still playing hard. They're still respect him. They haven't lost. He hasn't lost the locker room. So they're going to go out there and they're going to play as professionals. Dallas just had a game a few days ago as well. So it's not like they have extra rest or anything. They might have a half a day rest because Washington's traveling. But they're going to hang with them. They're going to play good. They're going to play well tomorrow. And they're going to hang in until the fourth quarter, and Dallas is going to win it at the end.
Well, we will certainly see whether or not that's the case. Trev, what are you taking?
All right. I want us to win because we're playing the Cowboys. And I want us to win because even with 7 losses right now, with that extra playoff spot, as weird as it sounds, we're in the quote-unquote playoff hunt. Aubrey's
the kicker.
Oh, okay.
Aubrey's their kicker? It's
Aubrey's
not Mayer?
Brandon Aubrey is their place kicker, and he scored 92 points for them this year.
Dang.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
So, no, you're good. So, I want us to win because 7 losses can still get us playoff spot with the extra seed this year if something crazy happens.
Sure. Still go 10-7.
We could.
I
know.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying we are, but
that's your whole platform.
But
you're right. That's my whole shtick.
Like that.
That's right.
But on this hand, I want to lose because I want the coaching staff to be gone. It's time. I'm ready for a change now, and I don't want to wait to the end of the season for it to happen. And I know it could probably end up worse if we do make an in the middle of the season change, but all these other teams are doing it and they're being successful at it. Why can't we give it a shot? So I'm going to have to say Washington loses on Thanksgiving 28-17.
28.
And either Ron Rivera or Jack Del Rio will be relieved of their duties.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Unless it's like a 52-20 game or something.
Why not? It's another division opponent. We haven't won a division game. What's the matter if we lose by 10 or 2? We lose division.
Here's why. Here's my theory why. Okay. At the beginning of the year, when Josh Harris bought this team, he went and he told everybody, he told the world, and he told the coaching staff, I'm going to give you this entire season to evaluate you on your performance. If he goes back on that word, what is he telling potential coaches who he would like to hire? That my word is no good.
No.
Business is business. That's what he tells them.
Business.
Yeah, I think that's a problem. If he tells everybody, he tells the whole world, we're going to evaluate you for a year, and then doesn't even allow him to get through the year.
He can change his mind. He's the owner. He can do whatever he wants.
You're right. But he has to face the consequences, the potential consequence of, say, they want to bring in, just as an example, they want to bring in Brian Johnson from Detroit. And Brian Johnson is unproven. So you're not getting a massive contract. But Brian Johnson says, yeah, but you told the last group that you were going to keep him for the whole season. You're not a man of your word. I don't really want to work for you.
I don't think it's going to work like that, Stoner, just because what is being answered, right? When you're asking the question, what is that? What does that tell the rest of the world? It tells them that you have to perform.
Thank you.
The lack of performance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why I agree with you, Stoner, in the sense that this game, even if it's a blowout, I don't think Ron Rivera is getting canned. I don't think Jack Del Rio is going to get canned, even though I'm going to predict a ridiculous score that this defense is going to let up. Spoiler alert. It's just at this point, I just think they're going to drag it out. They're going to continue to let this go. And it's a little frustrating. Stoner, you went on to plead for the front office to change.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it where it's talked about, and you've said this as well, Stoner. Harris is going to start losing this fan base and the trust of the fan base. The honeymoon is over already.
Yeah.
And the longer he allows this team to be led by a coach that, while the players, are still backing, the fan base is going to be detrimental. But Harris is a very patient owner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just don't think he's going to make any moves, because he is just going to wait, because it's not like he could really start the head coaching search until after the playoffs anyways. He's going to have to wait for Johnson and the Detroit Lions to be out of the playoffs, right? He's going to have to wait. Any hot offensive coordinator that we want as a head coach, because let's face it, that's what we all want. We all want some young guy who can really draw up a great offense. Any one of them that's worth a darn, you ain't getting until after the Super Bowl.
Except one, Nathan. He's on
Jim Harbaugh, because he is a college guy. You're right.
He's on. No,
I know how much you want Jim Harbaugh.
No. He's on your staff already. You can spend 5 games evaluating Eric Bieniemy as a head coach. You don't even have to wait till the end of the year to start talking to him. You start evaluating him right now. I'm saying he could do that. He's a young, hot offensive coordinator, if you will, right? And he's right there in front of you. And you don't have to wait and see if he has the potential to do it, because you're going to see it for a month and a half.
Potentially. We'll see.
Potentially.
We've got a game to predict. We've got a loss to the Cowboys from Stoner, a loss to the Cowboys from Trev. Stoner thinking it's going to be close. Trev only picking against Washington. I hesitate to use the word want to see them lose, Trev. I mean, those were your words, but because you want the coaching staff gone. I am not picking this based off of my heart. I'm picking this based off of the fact that Washington's just not a very good team right now. The defense is very porous. They allow big plays. There are big playmakers on Dallas. Washington's offensive line has had trouble keeping Sam upright. His decision-making hasn't always been the best, where he's holding on to the ball too long. Now, we have seen some success against stout defensive lines before. Philadelphia has only managed to get, I think, 4 sacks on him over 2 games. So that could be kind of the game that we're expecting here. And Sam Howell could be throwing the ball out and dealing. He wasn't dealing against the Giants, however, but he had us talking about how he's him, and the national media was catching notice, and everybody was just like, this guy has it. This is going to be a game everybody's going to be watching. And this is going to be a game that Sam Howell is going to have to prove that he is the quarterback of the future. People are already turning on Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams can't win games in college. I'll tell you what, that doesn't matter. Skill set matters. And whether or not
Williams is a stud.
And whether or not Sam Howell wins this game for Washington isn't going to matter in the long run, but his performance will matter. Unfortunately, I do think Washington's going to end up short here. I think that Dallas is going to score almost at will against this defense. 42 points for them, and I do think the offense will manage to churn out a couple of good plays. They might even be trailing sometime at halftime, but I'll say 23 points for Washington. It's not going to be a fun game for us.
He said 42.
He said 42 points.
It's Thanksgiving, bro.
Right.
I'm trying to enjoy the food. It's Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry, man. You ain't going to be able to enjoy this Thanksgiving.
Hey, let me get started right now with Dollar. What Dallas total points under 42.
I'm with you.
Trev, you with me, right?
Yeah,
I'm writing it down, and Nathan, 42. You have to take it because you've already said
42 or more points. Okay.
So I'll put the over under. Actually, I'll even give you a little love here
35?
at 41.5. So you can have your 42 if they score 42.
Bro, I still have 42. I'm done with dollar the rest of the season. Leave me out.
Dude, trust me. I am going to be watching this with a bunch of people who have turned on a Dallas game probably once, maybe twice all year.
Yeah.
They probably still think Tony Romo's the quarterback. And somehow I'm going to have to endure football talk and the absolute if we're winning, I guarantee you I'll have recordings of everybody not paying attention to the game besides me because they will have tuned out. They'll be like, whatever, it's Thanksgiving. We're not going to pay attention to football. They will only care if Washington's getting their butt whooped. And then everybody's going to be laughing in my face. Your team sucks. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll both be watching the Super Bowl from the same seat. So come on over and we'll go ahead and do that one. All right. Let's get to these dollars here. We had a couple early franchise talk. Gibby did have a 3-touchdown game against them on Thanksgiving, saying that streak is going to continue. Antonio Gibson. Yeah, Ben DiNucci is a bit of a factor there. Antonio Gibson, another big day coming for him?
No.
Not
Antonio
a 3-touchdown game.
Might not even play.
Yep. He does have a lingering toe injury. Allison, 7+ sacks and or interceptions against House. So it's a lot of sacks and or interceptions.
Cowboys are going to get us 7 times?
Well, I mean, I'll go with and take the under. 7 interceptions, I'll take the under. No, but they've been doing well with the sacks lately. I think it's 1-3-3-3 or no 1. Yeah, I think that's right. 1-3-3-3.
Yeah,
over the last 4 games. So that's 3, 6, 9, 10 in 4 games. It's 2.5 a game. I mean, you're basically on a normal projection through the course of a season at that rate. So I don't think it's going to be a sack fest against them because they figured it out at least to the point of not getting their quarterback sacked 6, 7, 8 times a game. So if you want to go with sacks on Howell, I'll go under 4. And that's what the trend's been the last 4 games. 1-3-3-3. Anyone want to take over 4 sacks?
Going over 4 sacks. Yeah, Michael Parsons is tomorrow. I'm going over 4 sacks.
I feel that this is going to be a not great game for this offensive line with Micah Parsons. I think that Dallas will finish with at least 4 sacks.
Okay.
VA Money Group, Parsons gets a sack fumble, score ×2. I'm going to just let you know. We're not taking that one. That one's a little far out there. Gregory, $1, Parsons, 2.5 sacks.
I'm going under.
I'm going to go under there, but he's going to get 1.
The guy has 10 sacks on the year in 10 games. Okay, he's averaging 1 a game. I'm not going with 2.5 in 1 game.
But Thibodeau has 10.5 sacks, but all of those are coming against Washington, essentially. So, I mean, like, sometimes players are just good against Washington.
That's fair.
I'm taking the under as well, Trev.
Yeah.
Yep. TJ, 1 for positive for Washington, finally. Washington defense gets 2 turnovers.
Who gets 9 sacks and 0 turnovers in a game? I mean, it's unbelievable.
The probability is just
I know.
Ridiculous.
I'm going under that. We're not getting.
Yeah, I'm going under that.
Defense.
I'm going to go under it too. I do think they do get a turnover, but it's not gonna matter there. Big E, we ain't gonna put this kind of money down, but we'll have your fancy dollar, which is our little no real money being down on here. Sam Howell throwing for 350 yards and 2 or more touchdowns.
Under.
I think he's going to have a good day, but 350 is a lot of yards.
That is
And
a
only
lot
2
of yards.
That's
Well,
a
when you're
lot.
trailing 42-23, you're gonna have to air it out quite a bit.
If you're down 42-9 in the third quarter and you're just getting a bunch of garbage stuff, maybe
That's
you might be right.
Brissett time.
So Stoner's going to keep his 401k intact
That's right.
after that one there. What else you guys got on your dollars? Anything?
Washington's going to have 3 or less turnovers.
3 or less? Yeah, they better.
Oh,
Yes,
3 or
they
more.
may.
Sorry. Oh, 3 or more. Sorry, 3 or more.
3 or more turnovers
3 or more?
on offense?
I'll go under.
Yeah.
On offense, they're going to have 3 turnovers.
Bro, Sam
Okay.
could throw 2 picks and somebody could fumble. That's 3 right there.
Washington, 3 or
After
more.
last week, I don't think the issue got corrected, and Gibby wasn't even playing. And yes, I called him Gibby because he hasn't done anything this year to deserve to be called Gibson. So he's Gibby, and he wasn't even playing, and we fumbled it a lot. So.
Yeah. Fumbled it 7 times and lost 6 of them.
That's
That's
ridiculous.
Crazy for a game.
Logan Thomas using his feet to try to get the ball. Like, what are you doing, bro? Just do that.
Yes, I
I
did.
know
I
that's
called
not
it
a
out
good
on
look,
our
but
play-by-play. I was like, that man was desperately just trying to get that ball up. He's lucky he didn't
They gonna
connect because
kill
that's
me.
a
They gonna
penalty.
kill
That's
My wife will kill me.
so we got a couple more in here, and then we'll move along here. Locked on loss. Sly misses another point after attempt. I mean, at least he has the attempt, right? Because Washington's got to score a touchdown for him to miss the attempt.
I mean, what's going on, Trev?
It is. I don't. You got to cook
Look.
tomorrow? Is that your problem? Or you got to do the cooking tomorrow? You don't want to? Is that what's wrong?
Look, he's
What's going on?
been putting time out, Trev.
Yeah,
He's been putting
this
time
dude,
out. It's just
42 points.
way too
They actually
negative.
have to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Because the attempt is right. So they
Yeah,
have
we
to
can't.
score a touchdown.
If he's going to
You
miss
said
a
23,
PAT,
didn't you? Didn't you say 23? All right.
if he's
that's
going to
at
miss a
least one
PAT,
tutty.
that means we have to at least score one
42
touchdown.
points.
42 to Zippy in the fourth quarter.
What's going on, man?
Anyway,
Yeah.
No, I don't think he misses the point after. I think that
Really?
he
I think he will.
Yeah.
Even though I got a 24-21 score. here.
I will go one further, and I'll say he makes all of his attempts.
All of his attempts to include field goal attempts.
Point after field goal attempts, he makes all of them.
I'm
All right,
gonna
I'll
say
take
he
that.
doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah, let's go.
How's that for some positivity?
There you go. Much better.
We still have
Welcome-
23 points.
Washington wins a challenge, says TJ.
Oh, Lord.
Ron Rivera. Will they show it on the scoreboard though? That's the thing.
Well, it is a giant scoreboard, so right. It's one of the biggest in the world. So
And Ron
Yeah,
hasn't
I
put
like
one
that.
out lately. It's Thanksgiving. He might be feeling frisky.
He's going to challenge for his own job there.
Yeah.
Washington 7 punts.
Yes.
It's a lot of punts.
That could
That is
happen
a
in the
lot of
first
punts.
half.
No, they're not punting 7 times.
In the whole
Trev-
game.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Yes, they are. This is going to be a Tressway game.
I'm going to go with the under as well. It's a
How
lot
many
of
times
punts,
did-
Trev. It's a lot of punts. He had
That's
2
7
punts against the
possessions?
Giants.
That's it?
That's it.
Not the first game.
Damn.
Not the first game.
First
I think
game,
he
he
had,
might have
he
had
had like
7.
three and outs in the first game, but yeah.
I'm gonna my next
The calls
one.
definitely aren't going our way, Biggie. Yeah, that's
I'm gonna go with over under 32. No, wait, over under 36 likes on our video so far, on our live stream so far. I'm gonna go over
I'm
under
gonna go-
36. What do y'all
I'm
got?
going over.
I'm gonna go under.
It's definitely under, and I'm not happy about that. So
Well, people got to hit that like button.
Hey.
I do have bad news, Gus Bus. We will not be streaming this game. There is no live stream. We won't be providing the play-by-play for this one. Spend some time with your family. Hopefully not with Cowboy fans like I will be doing. Stoner will be providing an instant reaction, so you can check that out after the game. And then we will be back next week. So no planned day after Reckoning as well. So everyone will get to enjoy their weekend. Trev, you look like you got something to say.
Tressway had 10 punts in that loss to the Giants 14-7 game.
Yeah.
Since week 1, it's been 6-3-3-5-2, 6-10-2, 5-5-2. 7 punts.
So
It's
only
under.
one time he's gone over 7.
Yeah, under. Telling you.
He's gotten near a few times. 2 6s, 3 5s.
Trev, I already
We are
wrote it
playing
down.
Dallas.
You can't change it. Sorry, you're locked in. It's
Well,
10.
We
I
have
said
to.
more, right? I said more.
You said
Yeah.
more. We have to.
That's what I wanted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have to lock in our survivor pick now. Not a whole lot of options for us. Thankfully, Dallas has been taken away, much to the chagrin of Tailgate Ted, who is going to give Stoner and I some pieces of silver the next time he sees us.
That's right. So let me give you the home teams that we have available to us. We have the Colts available. They're playing Tampa. We have the Falcons available. They're playing New Orleans. We have the Bengals available without Joe Burrow. They're at home to the Steelers. We have the Titans available at home to the Panthers. They are a 64% chance to win. We have the Texans available. We have the Giants. We have the Broncos. We have the Cardinals, the Vikings, and the Ravens.
Who was the 65% team?
Tennessee.
Yeah.
They're playing Carolina.
Carolina is really bad.
Really bad. And Tennessee's
like
at
really
home.
Bad. Will Levis
against
Derrick Henry. They can't stop Derrick Henry.
They're at home. I mean, that's the only. I don't know who else.
Because all these other ones are up at they could go either way. All these other ones.
Yeah, Justin Fields being back for the Bears. Just don't.
Yeah, they did last week.
The Vikings are still Josh Dobbs. You can love the story and all, but he's Josh Dobbs.
Yeah, he's
at some point he's going to regress to the mean.
Yeah.
I mean the Cardinals over the Rams. The Cardinals got 2 wins this year.
Texans over Jaguars. I don't like that. Jags. That's a division.
Because we've already taken Detroit, right?
We have where's Detroit? Who are they playing? Oh, there.
Packers.
Yeah, we've already taken Detroit. That would have been a good one playing Green Bay. The Colts over Tampa. Colts at home, 57% chance.
I don't. That's tough.
The biggest number on the board for teams that we have available, home teams, is Tennessee at 64%.
Yeah, I guess stay within the system. It's been working for us, but we'll have to go there.
The Eagles, we still have them. They're playing the Bills. They're at
I think Josh Allen might mess around and beat them.
Yeah,
the Bills are volatile. I think the Eagles are a better team right now, but
my whole mantra is always take a team at home playing a team with a bad quarterback. So Tennessee at home playing against Bryce Young.
Let's do it. Lock that in. Lock in Washington Commanders going up against the Dallas Cowboys tomorrow on Thanksgiving. What is your favorite dish on Thanksgiving?
Sweet potatoes with marshmallows on top.
Oh, man after my heart, my man.
Yeah, not me. Mine's pretty boring. In fact, it's like really boring. I like just plain old-fashioned stovetop stuffing. Just the regular stuff from the box. I love it.
I don't need another ring light Stoner's so white, it's just like the screen reflection is going to be enough to keep me well lit over here.
Yeah,
With the stovetop stuffing, man.
Yeah.
No, yeah, the candied yams, my EP who's in the house here makes a fantastic sweet potato casserole with two types of mallows. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. That's what we'll be bringing there. Cranberry sauce is hers, corn pudding in her mashed potatoes with gravy and corn on top. I like the way you're thinking, Gregory.
Not bad.
Mashed potatoes. I'm a chunky guy. I like lumpy mashed potatoes.
Yeah.
You gotta have something in there. So it is going to be Thanksgiving. I hope everybody does enjoy their Thanksgiving Day weekend. Stay safe. We'll be back on Monday. Stoner's going to be taking some family time, so he won't be back for a couple of weeks. But you got Trev and I holding things down as we walk our way into the bye week. Soon enough, we'll have some time off here from our team that's been giving us some heart attacks. We do appreciate everybody jumping in the chat. You can, of course, find us here on YouTube streaming live every Wednesday, or you can find us on an audio platform wherever you can listen to your favorite podcast there as well. We're presented by Bet Online. And until next time,
happy Thanksgiving.
Be a fan.